All right, everyone. Let's get started. I have already graded lab 1 to lab 4, so please check your grades of lab 1 to lab 4. If you have any questions, you can send me an email and I can double check your assignment if I was wrong. All right. So please check your grades, and in this week I will grade lab 5 and lab 6, and the assignment and the weekly assignment 1, this one. So please check your grade maybe in this weekend, and if you have any questions, you can send me an email or you can leave me a message via Teams. Okay. All right, please download Laboratory 7, and we will continue to learn how to write algorithm blocks. Okay. And please run the first cell to identify your host name, kernel name, username, and kernel information. And then please input your full name, R number, and the title. All right. And in lab 6, we have already learned how to write like sequence blocks, right? How to write instructions one by one. And into this class, we will learn how to write the conditional blocks. Means a group of instructions may or may not be executed depending on some conditions. We need to learn how to write the conditions and how to write the blocks. All right. Here, conditional execution is a logical expressions that evaluate as true and or false, and use the true or false results to perform further operations based on these conditions. First, you need to know what is a true or what is false and what is comparison. So here, the most common conditional operation is comparison. So if we wish to compare whether two variables are same or not, we need to use the double equal sign, right? Actually, the single equal sign means the assignment, not the comparison. So we need to use the double equal sign. For example, x equals to y means the program will ask you whether x, y have the same value. If they do, the result would be true. If not, the result would be a false. Let me show you some example here. If you use you want to check 1 is the same as 2, so you can use this way, right? Double equal sign, and then you can assign this value to the variable x, and then print out x, or print out the type of x. See, the result would be a false, and then the data type would be a bool data type, or it's a Boolean. It's short for Boolean data type. The Boolean data type. So there's only 2 values of Boolean data type, 2 values, only true or false. In this condition is false, right? Because 1 is not equals to 2, but if you check 1 and 1, right? They have the same value, then x would be true, all right? It would be true, and it's also a Boolean data type. So for now, we have 4 different kinds of basic data types. First one would be an integer, a float, a string, or a Boolean. A Boolean is a special one because there are only 2 values, true or false. Okay, so it's simple example here. And then you need to know some widely used the comparison signs. So for example, here is it means not equal, and then smaller than, and larger than, less than or equal, greater than or equal. Okay, it's widely used. Please make sure you understand that. And then there are 3 logical operators, and, or, and not. I'm not sure if it is your first time to see the logical operators. But in the future, in many other courses, you need to learn the logical operators, and they are the same. So and, or, and not. So and operators returns true if and only if all conditions are true. For instance, 5 is equal to 5 is true, smaller than 6 is true, returns are true because all conditions are true. And or operator returns true if at least one condition is true. Only if all conditions are false, then it will return a false. If at least one condition is true, it is a true. This is for or operator. The last one is the, for example, here, this is true, right? But this is false and this is false, but it will still return a true because the first condition is true. It means only one, but at least one condition is true. The not operator returns true if the condition after not keywords is false. See, reversal, right? So it means if the condition after the not keywords is true, then it will return a false. Okay, let's see some concrete examples. So the first one, please write. You see x is 7, y is 10, then print out the x and y, the result of x and y. And next one is the you want to check if x is equal to y, then use this way. It is false, because 7 is not equal to 10, right? Next one, x is not equal to y. You can use this operator, right? And then it is true. X is greater than y is false, right? It's not greater than y, so it is false. Less than, then it is true. This one is true, right? So yeah, so actually it's not necessary, but I want to add one more to help you to understand the operators. Okay, so any questions so far? All right, so next one is about the and, or, and not. Okay, so first one, 5 is equal to 5, so it is true. And then 5 is smaller than 6 is true. So the result will be true, right? Let's guess. And the second one, it is true and it's false, but it's all operator. So at least one true, then the result would be true. So the last one, 5 is equal to 5, so it is true, then not true is false, right? So true, true, and false. All right, so if you check this way, false and false, then run again, so it would be false, okay? Then it is false, right? Sorry, I need to check here. Then it is false, yeah, so very simple for the operators. Okay, so any questions so far? Do you have a different results here? All right, next one is about how to write the if statement. So actually we have already used the if statements several times in the previous labs, right? So if statement is common flow control statement. It allows the program to evaluate if a certain condition is satisfied and perform a designed action based on the result of evaluation. Structure of an if statement is if condition 1 is met, do A, else if do B, else if C is met, do C, and else do E, okay? Else if means else and if, else if. So the colon is an important part of the structure tells where the action begins. Because there's no scope. If you know about a little about the C and C++, they are using the curly brackets to do the scope, to represent the scopes, right? But instead, Python used indentations to isolate the blocks of code. For example, here, right? So please be careful. If you use if or else if, you need to use the colon symbol and then have an indentation. All right. Please make sure you have the indentation. It's very important. And yeah, so here is some a concrete example here. Next code fragment illustrates how the if statement works. Programs ask the user for input. The use for of input will let the program read and input a string, and so non-numeric result will not throw an error. The input is stored in a variable named user input. If the user input is equal to 1, then compare the value of user input with the string 1. If the value is indeed 1, the program will execute the block of the codes after the colon. Okay, so for example here, please make sure your input will return a string, even although you input an integer or a float number, the result would be a string. All right, because we have already tested several times. And then after that, you need to check the user input is a string, right? So you need to compare with that string. So that's why you need to use the double quotes here or single quotes, okay? But you can also use the, but if you do the typecasting, you can compare it with a string, with a number 1 and the number 2. Okay, let's see the concrete example here. So for example, here you need to use the user input to enter 1 or 2, and after that, do the do the typecasting here, and then you can print the data type of the user input variable, okay? And then you can check that, you can check the value of the variable with the number 1 or number 2. If it is 1, then print out hello world, how do you do? And if it is true, then sticks on the plan, and then you didn't enter a valid number. So you can run it and test it. So 1, it means an integer, right? Because you do the typecasting here. How work, and then do that again, 2 or 3. You didn't enter a valid number, okay? So yes, check it again. But actually, if you don't want to do the typecasting, what can you do? So here, if you didn't use you didn't convert the strings to integers, you can use this way. For example, here you need to use for now, user input would be a string, right? And then you need to use the double quotes 1 and double quotes 2, okay? 1 is the same, right? But here is the difference, the strings, not integers. 2, right? And 3 is not a valid number. So if you didn't use it, if you didn't do the double space, what will happen? 1. Hey, William, don't draw anything, okay? I'm not sure why you are drawing some lines in the screen. Let me check. I'm not sure you can see my screen now. It's like a green line here. So please don't. Please, if you want to do some experiments, please use your own style and write the codes. Don't draw something on the screen, okay? Is that you? I'm not sure. Is that you or? Okay. All right, so it's about how to do the how to take the inputs and how to compare the value of the inputs with some numbers or some strings. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. So I thought you want to perform some experiments on the styles, but yeah, okay, it's fine, yeah, please. And yeah, so it's about this example. So any questions? All right, so next one is about the inline if statement. So inline if statement is similar form. You can do task A if the condition is true, or else do task B. So it's simpler, but you need to understand. So first one example would be you define when one variable named my int, and here is 3, and number 1 is 12 if the int is 0, else if it is not 0, then number 1 would be 13. So as you see here, you print out it is 13, right? So you can also use the brackets to make it clear. So actually it's the same as, so it's the same as 3 or 3 of, it doesn't matter, 3 or 1. Yeah, so actually it is the same as number 1 is 12, else number 1 is 13, and the printout number 1. So these two cells are exactly the same. So depends on your habit. Actually, the inline if statement is simpler, but I think it's hard to read. Because from my experience, I would like to choose the second one because I think it's better for the users, for the readers. Okay, but it doesn't matter. So you can choose the inline because it's simpler, but you can also choose the second way because it's easy to understand or easy to read. Okay, it's the same. So any questions for the inline statement? All right. And the last example about pass and fail. So here is to take inputs from the user's grade for lesson 1 to 3 and compute the average of 3 grades and check the students will pass or not. The first one you see here, you need to use the 3 variables to store them, input, and then do the typecasting to the int, right? And then do the average. So average, and then divided by 3, right? Average, print out the average, and then check the average variables is greater than or equal to 5 or not, passed or not passed. For example, average grade is smaller than 5, then not passed, right? If it is 5, 5, 5, then it's 5.0, then it is passed, right? Please make sure here int would be this way. So that's why here it is a float number, because the int is only controlled this variable, this value, the evaluation would be an integer, but after it divided by 3, it would be a float number, okay? So it's a difference. Yeah, so please run this example and show some tests. Show one test about the passed or not passed, okay? Yeah, so for example here, it's not passed, failed. Okay, so actually, if you want to read more information, you can read these documents. And today there's an exercise. So below is multiple alternative if statement to display a message indicating the success from a student for a given assignment on a grade scale of 5 from fail to excellent 1 to 5, right? However, the code is not functioning as expected. Please correct the mistakes and make the code work. Okay, so there's something wrong, but I can give you some hint here. So first one, you need to check the data type of the input, right? If you want to compare it with numbers, then you need to make sure the user input would be an integer, not a strings. Okay, so give you some hint. First one would be typecasting. Okay, and the second one, if you want to print something, for example here, if you want to print only a string or some words, sentences, you need to use the double quotes. You need double quotes. If you don't use double quotes, it will be considered as a variable. But if you didn't define it, there are some errors. Okay, so when you print out something, when you want to print out some strings, please make sure you have double quotes or single quotes. Doesn't matter. And then after that, you need to check if it is a if or else if. Else if. If means if in this exercise, you can use if or else if. It doesn't matter because they are this condition and this condition are independent, right? But it will slow down your program because actually in your program, if you use several if, it will check one by one by one. But if you use if and all else if, then it will the flow will be much faster. Okay, so please make sure to use if or else if. And okay, so there are three hints I want to give you. Please correct these mistakes and make sure the code will work and test your codes. Okay, show me the output. Yeah, that's all I want to share today. Yeah, please make sure you finish this one and submit by the end of Wednesday. And have a nice day. See you on Wednesdays, guys. Thank you. Name. Okay, you can use any names. Actually, you can just copy the selection structures. The name is used to help you to review your labs. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. It's only for you. It's really. I think. Because it doesn't matter, but I think you can use the name of the lab for reviewing. But if you use any other titles, they are fine, I think. Yeah. Okay, so any other questions? Conditions execution. Okay, sure. You mean this one or which one? They are all conditional execution. Which one do you mean? About the example pass and fail. Okay. This one, you mean inline statements? Okay. So what is your question? Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, so here is it's simpler. So actually it's equals to else number 1 is the 13. But they are all assignment to number 1. So it removes the number 1 equals to, right? So that's why here is else 13. But if you want to make sure it's better for reading, so you can use this way. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. And this one is the same as number 1, because if you only use one variable in the last line, then it will print out. Okay, so it's the same. All right. So any other questions? Since essay on the code for the second one. Oh, what do you mean? So can you copy your errors and paste in the chat box? Not executed, or the second one. Can you copy your errors or tell me the tab of your errors? Okay, and why it's another pending. Okay. Yeah. When you have a pending input, you cannot execute at other cells. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. See you on Wednesday. Okay.